Hi everyone, welcome back to Optimum Chiropractic. I'm Dr. Steve Fitz, and today we're going to talk about who can benefit from chiropractic care. So one of the questions we often get here is, who benefits? When you look at chiropractic care, remember that the goals we have when we deliver chiropractic care are to restore optimum biomechanical function. So biomechanical is mechanical. It's proper movement of the joints, and proper biomechanical function allows proper neurological function. So neurological function is the working of the nervous system. So the job of your nervous system is to relate you to your world. If I touch things, I want to feel them. When I walk on a surface, my body has to balance and has to keep me level in space. So chiropractic allows us to have a proper relationship mechanically and neurologically with our world. When you look at what points in your life you'll benefit from that, the answer is obvious. From birth all the way to the end of your life. When we look at the different stages of life, we see different reasons for the huge benefit of chiropractic care. So if we start with newborns and infants, we can see that oftentimes they'll suffer from what's called in utero constraints. So in utero, in the uterus, constraints. So a lot of babies, before they're even born, are stuck inside the uterus of mom because the uterus is a little bit too small, or maybe it's a little bit twisted, and that can put pressure on the head, pressure on the neck. Maybe their hips are a little bit twisted. So when we give chiropractic care to a newborn, we're helping to relieve some of those misalignments that may have happened even before birth. Chiropractic care is very gentle with newborns. It's going to be very light touch, very specific, and often we'll see huge results in very, very, very few visits because the problem's so recent. When we're dealing with babies and toddlers, there are those falls. There can be postural, maybe sometimes the baby's sleeping in a certain way. That's why we encourage people, take a look in the car seat. How's the baby sitting? If you're doing a long drive, the baby's head is cranked over like this, that's a problem. Get a little cushion in there, help hold the baby's head up straight. We also see with newborns the birth process. It's tough. It's tough on mom. It can be a real adventure for mom to have a birth. And when you look at the baby coming through, there's a lot of pressure on the head. Oftentimes the obstetrician will pull on the baby's head as the baby's coming through. And remember, the baby's not coming through the birth canal straight. The baby's coming through the birth canal in a corkscrew motion. So that head is turned and twisted, and there's a pulling happening on the neck. Clearly an opportunity there for displacement of some of the vertebra in the neck. We look at kids, lots of falls, sports, athletic injuries. So anywhere from toddlers all the way up to teenagers, plenty of room for injury. What happens when you're 7 years old and you fall 10 feet out of a tree onto your head? You get up and you keep playing with your friends. Then when you're 30 years old, you start saying, wow, I don't know why my neck's stiff all the time, why I get these headaches. Because we're young, because we're so flexible and so supple, oftentimes we can suffer injuries and not even realize it. But that can cause deviations in our spine. Because you're young, as you're growing, you may not feel it, but that deviation can cause your spine to grow in a crooked way. So if you've ever walked through the forest and seen a small sapling that was crooked because maybe a larger tree had fallen and rolled up against it, if you were to move that larger stump away, that tree would spring back and be straight. That's why we want to adjust kids' spines early, because it gives them a chance to realign themselves and to grow properly. But if you walk through a forest and you see a big tree, maybe round like this, but it's crooked, that same thing happened to that big tree, but it happened 10 or 20 or 30 years ago, and as a result, that tree's now grown crooked. There's nothing you're going to be able to do that's going to bring that big tree back to straight. So we want to adjust kids because we can correct problems very early in the process and prevent those problems from becoming ongoing, chronic, and sometimes permanent. For adults, why do we want to adjust adults? Postural strain. So many people now sitting at computers, sitting with forward head posture. Everybody starts their day at 8 or 9 in the morning up straight. But by 11, and then after lunch by 1 or 3 p.m., people start getting more and more curved, what we call forward head posture. A lot of strain put on the spine there. Injuries. People lift things. People sometimes lift wrong. They force in a position that maybe causes strain to their back. We want to help with that and prevent that from becoming an ongoing and chronic problem. Stress. So many people now, whether it's work stress, home, kids, you can see that stress building up in the body. Proper alignment, proper neurological function allows the body to process that stress better so it doesn't accumulate in the body and build up from day to day and start creating chronic problems. Later on, maybe we're retired, so we say, well, I don't have that stress of sitting in front of the computer all day. I don't have that work stress, or maybe my kids are all grown up now. I don't have that kind of stress. But we have the accumulated micro and macro trauma, so the little postural traumas and maybe some of the bigger injuries we had over our lives have built up. Some of those joints have started to degenerate. Some of them are further along that process of degeneration. So with elderly patients, what we're trying to do is prevent that process of degeneration from happening too quickly. We're trying to preserve the functionality of those joints as much as we possibly can, preventing long-term chronic problems and allowing people to stay as functional and as independent as long as possible. So as you can see, from birth all the way up into our golden years, chiropractic care can have vast benefits to the body. Come on into Optimum Chiropractic, get yourself checked out, get optimized.